Today's case brings to light the daily fears women have when doing something so routine like taking a run in the park. My name is Sean, I post True Crime Weekly. If you enjoy this case, please like and subscribe. Now let's get into the case of Karina Vetrano. This case brings us to Queens, New York City, known for the Statue of Liberty, Wall Street and Times Square, also known for the array of great foods. And for us Europeans obsessed with the TV station Comedy Central, we also know Queens for being the home place of the show King of Queens. But these are some of the good things about Queens, New York, while our victim in today's case had to witness firsthand the bad things. Karina Vetrano, born July 12, 1986 in New York, to her loving parents Philip and Kathy. They lived in Queens along with Karina's older sister Tana. She grew up in Howard Beach, Queens. Karina's father was a New York City Fire Department retiree, and he was one of the first responders to the 9/11 attacks in New York. Her mother is a cancer survivor and a very strong, loving woman. Karina had a very tight relationship with her family. She was extremely outgoing and had a lot of friends, and she was big into fitness and writing. Karina had a blog where she would talk about her life, also starring in a short film relating to her writings called The Paradox.
This is a demonstration of how beauty can be wasted by a girl with a fascination with innocence, yet runs towards predicaments to put herself in. This is the dissonance of my existence.
As you can see, she was an ambitious woman and had a fascinating life. At the age of 30, she completed her degree in speech pathology and she worked with autistic children as a speech therapist. The world was Karina's oyster. She had a yearn for adventure and a lust for life. And on August 2nd, 2016, Phil, who was Karina's dad, he went to pick her up from the train station as she was finished work, and they both went to get some pizza. They went home, Karina then finished her pizza, she got ready, and then she went for a run. Phil would usually go on a run with Karina, but he had hurt his back and he couldn't go this time. He had warned her about going on a run on her own and he expressed his concerns, but she said she would be okay and she would stay safe. And so she began her run in the Spring Creek Park. There is CCTV footage of Karina jogging on 83rd Street and she was jogging towards the park shortly after leaving her home. This would be the last footage of Karina. When jogging, she was texting her friend and it was still very bright out at this stage. Although the area she went jogging, it was a very small dirt road with heavy greenery, and this created 10-foot walls in height, both sides of the path. Suddenly the text stopped abruptly to her friend. Then 2 hours had passed and Karina still didn't arrive home from her jog. This was unusual for her, so Phil and her mom Kathy began ringing her with no answer. After Karina failed to return any calls or texts, Phil notified his neighbour, who was an NYPD police chief, who then launched the investigation. While police were looking for Karina, Phil decided to look for himself. He checked the usual spots where they would jog. He saw her phone in some tall grass, and just a little bit off the track, his worst fears came to life. He found his daughter's lifeless body. Karina was severely beaten and her face was covered in scratches and bruises, along with missing and broken teeth. The investigators would say Karina fought to the very end and she finally succumbed to her attacker. Karina was ultimately strangled to death, along with being assaulted. Forensics recovered a lot of DNA from Karina's body, along with the screen of her phone that was thrown nearby. All of this happened less than a mile away from her home. This outraged the community, as they were also fighting to have the long grass in the park taken down, but they were unsuccessful. A $10,000 reward was offered for any information on Karina's death, which reached $290,000 with the help of a GoFundMe page. This was set up by the family and friends. On August 31st, the police released a sketch of a potential suspect. A witness approached police and they said they seen a man running out of the park and off onto a path nearby, but nothing came from it, and then nothing for a further 6 months. Fast forward to December 2016, the NYPD partnered with the FBI and they came up with a profile for the suspect. Due to the DNA that they had, they determined that the suspect was an African American male. And in February 2017, an off-duty detective working on Karina's case remembered something suspicious. It happened 2 months prior to the murder of Karina. The detective said 2 months prior he was pulling up to his house when he saw a man slowly walking away from him, and he was looking into each house as he was walking. He followed him for about 40 minutes and he eventually called the police, but the man went out of sight. And the following morning a person rang the police saying there's a man acting sketchy around his business and he was wielding a crowbar. The police showed up, frisked him, and then let him go. This man was 20-year-old Chanel Lewis from Brooklyn. He had some minor run-ins with the police, but nothing serious. So the detective decided they should go and talk to him. And on January 31st, 2017, police brought him in for a voluntary DNA test. He agreed, and during his conversations with the investigators, he acknowledged hearing about Karina's murder in the news, but he had denied having anything to do with it. And a few days later, the DNA test came back, and it was positive. So on February the 4th, Chanel Lewis was arrested.
Jessica, this young murder suspect lived in the red house right behind me with his mother and two sisters on Essex Street. One neighbor here off camera told us that the young man was a monster who terrorized people in this neighborhood. But tonight, his father is defending him.
That's what they're saying. But things are far more than that. Far more, not him.
Richard Lewis says there's no way he can believe his son Chanel killed Karina Vetrano.
He has never done anything, nothing in his whole life. He wouldn't have done it because he lives in an area where these people do a lot of things, a lot of hurt, and try to push it on other people.
Detectives first approached the unemployed 20-year-old suspect Thursday, 6 months to the day after he allegedly raped and strangled the 30-year-old victim while she was out jogging alone in Spring Creek Park. Investigators say he voluntarily gave a DNA sample that came back a match on Saturday.
Karina helped us identify this person. She had the DNA under her nails. She had touch DNA on her back, and there was more DNA on the cell phone.
NYPD Chief of Detectives Robert Boyce says it's not clear if Lewis is the person in this sketch released in late August. But the break in the case, he says, was actually a Howard Beach neighbor's 911 call about Lewis back in May, 3 months before the crime.
We have a member of the community called, and they said it was in that complaint, it was a suspicious person, and then he was identified by members of the 106 precinct.
People on Essex Street in East New York are stunned to learn the accused killer lived among them in this red house.
Words. You know, we hope to get to this point one day, you know, and didn't expect or didn't know when it was going to happen. It just happened very quickly, and can't really even respond to how we feel because we don't know yet. But the police did an excellent job. They solved this through good old hard police investigative work. We're still going to advocate for familiar DNA testing. We don't know if this person had relatives that were in jail. So I'm not going to say it's a good day, but we can move forward now. We can move forward now. We're in a place where...
The police done a search on his house after he was arrested. They found his phone. Chanel had made several searches relating to the case and how long a person may be in prison for if they got caught for murder. They also found a picture of Karina and a crime scene on his phone. The following video is an interrogation of Chanel Lewis. Just a warning, it goes into a lot of detail.
Okay, we're present in the 107th Police Precinct. The date is Sunday, February 5th, 2017, and the time is about 10:33 a.m. My name is Peter McCormick. I'm an Assistant DA in and for the County of Queens. Present in the room with me at this time are Detective Barry Brown, ADA Michael Curtis, Video Technician Joseph Deal, and Chanel Lewis. Okay, Chanel, I'm about to be reading you your rights. After that, if you agree to speak with me, you may, if you wish, make a statement about and answer questions about an incident that occurred on August 2nd, 2016. Even though I've already spoken to someone else, you do not have to talk to us. I'm going to now read you your rights. You have the right to remain silent and refuse to answer questions. Do you understand?
Yes.
Anything you do say may be used against you in a court of law. Do you understand?
Yes.
You have the right to consult with an attorney before speaking to me or to the police, and to have an attorney present during any questioning now or in the future. Do you understand?
Yes.
All right. Chanel, why don't we start with, I think it was a Tuesday evening on August 2nd, 2016. Do you remember that date and that evening?
Mm-hmm.
All right. And where were you at that time?
I It was in Spring Gateway and Spring Creek Mall.
Okay, by Gateway and Spring Creek Mall?
Spring Creek Park.
Park?
Yeah.
All right. Were you inside the park?
Yeah,
Okay. And was anyone with you, or were you by yourself?
by myself.
All right. About what time did you get to the park?
About 5 o'clock.
Are there any trails in the park?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And were you on a trail or you in the grass?
On the trail.
Okay. What kind of trail is it? Paved or dirt or what?
It's kind of like dirt.
Mm-hmm. Okay. About what time would you say you got to the park that night? That evening?
About 5.
While you were in the park, well, do you remember what you were wearing that day?
It was a hoodie, a sweatpants, and a shoes.
Okay. While you were in the park, did something happen?
Yes.
What happened while you were in the park?
Walking in the park. There was this girl jogging, and then one thing led to another because some other situation.
All right. Well, the girl that was jogging, was she by herself or with anybody else?
By herself.
And when you first saw her, where were you? Were you in the grass or were you on the trail?
On the trail.
All right. And were you moving or were you standing still?
Like I was moving, listening to music,
You were walking or jogging?
walking.
Walking? And you were walking towards her?
I was walking towards and then got side to side and then one thing led to another.
When you first saw her, though, were you walking towards her or the same direction as her? When you first saw her?
We was walking towards each other.
Towards each other, okay. And she was jogging, you said?
Mm-hmm.
All right. Do you know if she had anything on her head or in her hands, do you remember, as she was approaching you?
She might have had a phone.
Okay. And where was her phone? Was it in her hand or was it clipped to her clothes? Do you remember?
It was in her hand.
Okay. And you said as she got next to you, when she got next to you as she was running and you were walking, what happened then?
And then, because of a past situation, I got angry and then started hitting her and stuff like that.
Okay. Before you did, where did you hit her?
Like in the face and like in the mouth.
In the face and the mouth.
Mm-hmm.
Before you hit her, did you grab her or did you just hit her right away?
Like kind of grabbed her first.
Grabbed her? And like, how did you grab her? What part of her body did you grab?
Like I started hitting her because of the incident that was going on earlier.
Right, but did you grab her before you started hitting her, or was the first thing you did was to hit her? What was the first thing you did?
I grabbed her.
Okay. And how did you grab her?
Like this.
Okay. With both hands?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And what part of her body did you grab? Do you remember her shoulders, her waist, her neck? Do you remember?
Probably like around here.
Okay, around the shoulders.
Mm-hmm.
And when you grabbed her, what happened then?
And then I started hitting her and stuff like that.
All right. Now, did you hit her with both hands?
Probably, yeah.
All right. And what part of her body did you hit with your hands?
I didn't hit any part of her body.
Her face?
Just the face.
Just the face? All right. About how many times did you hit her in the face?
Around 5.
All right. Was she standing when you started to hit her, or was she on the ground?
She was on the ground.
Okay. So when did she fall to the ground? After you grabbed her? All right. Now, when she fell to the ground, was she lying in the path, or was she off the path? The pathway. When she fell to the ground and you were hitting her, was she on the pathway or was she off the pathway?
She's kind of on the pathway.
All right. About how wide is this path, would you say? Like,
About a couple of feet.
okay. So it's not that wide, right?
Mm.
All right. And when you were hitting her in the face, was she face up or face down?
She was like face up.
Face up. Did she say anything at all?
Mm.
No. Did she scream?
Because her tooth broke.
I'm sorry? Her tooth broke? Right. Were you covering her mouth at all?
Mm.
No? Okay. The tooth that broke, was it like in the front, the top, or the bottom? Do you remember?
No.
Okay. How long would you say you were hitting her for? About how long in time? I mean,
The whole thing was like about 5 minutes.
5 minutes? All right. And Did you do anything else to her besides hit her? Did you put her hands on any other part of her body?
No.
Okay, around her neck or anything?
Yeah, there was kind of separation.
I'm sorry?
Yeah.
You put her hands on her neck, around her neck? Okay. Do you remember, was it one hand or both hands?
Both.
Both? All right. And how long did you have your hands around her neck?
I don't know.
Okay. Did you squeeze her neck when you had your hands around her neck?
Yeah.
Yeah? Okay. You don't remember for how long though? Okay.
Because I was mad at the incident.
You were mad about an incident. Okay, we're going to get to that in a little bit, all right? I just want to find out what happened, all right? And was she still moving when you had your hands around her neck?
Well, yeah, and then she dropped into the water.
Okay. Well, when you had your hands around the neck, was she on the ground or standing up?
She's still on the ground.
On the ground. Face up or face down?
Face up.
All right. And then how did her face go in the water?
I was strangling. We were near the water, and then I put her face in the ground.
Okay. You were
So
strangling
she
her,
fell
you
in the
said?
water.
And you put her...
No, she fell in the water,
Okay.
and then my hand was bleeding, so I went to wash off all the blood.
Okay. Which hand do you remember? You just showed me your right hand, right? Your right hand? Where was it bleeding? What part of the hand? Your knuckle?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And when her face went in the water, was she face up or face down?
Down.
Down? All right.
Face up.
Face up?
Yes.
All right. Was the water covering her face?
Mm-hmm.
And how long did you hold her under the water?
Oh, she didn't hold on to the water. When I came back, she was just...
Oh, you didn't hold her under the water? Okay. Was she moving when you put her face in the water?
She was not moving.
Okay. What do you remember? Was she still moving when you had your hands around her neck? At all?
Mm-hmm.
How was she moving? What was she doing?
Like, she wasn't really moving that much.
Okay. Did she try to hit you or touch your body at all during this time? Okay. What did she do?
Like, try to scratch me.
Okay. And did she scratch you? Where did she scratch you?
Like, on my face.
Okay. Would that be on the right side of your face?
Probably was one of these two, though.
Okay. Did she leave a mark or a scratch on your face?
Yes.
Mm-hmm. All right.
Mm-hmm.
Do you know what happened to her phone?
She must have lost it doing all that.
Did you ever grab her phone? Yeah?
I might have touched it.
Okay. If you touched it, do you know where? Did you put it somewhere or?
No.
No? When you left her in the grass, what were her clothes still on?
No.
What was the status of her clothing? How was her clothing
Kind of
arranged?
like pulled off.
Pulled off?
Yeah.
Okay, what was pulled off?
Like her clothes.
Her shirt, her pants?
Her pants.
What about her shirt?
Sure, I think it was still intact.
Still?
Maybe.
Okay. And when you say her pants were pulled off, were they totally off, or were they half on or half off? What were they?
Looked like kind of half off.
Okay. Were they down or up? I mean, her pants.
Kind of like down.
Okay. What about her underwear?
Maybe it was down too.
Okay. Now, you said that you did this because you had some anger, is that right?
Mm-hmm.
All right. Can you tell me about that anger?
Because, I used to live in a different address than I currently live at now.
Right.
And then sometimes there's this man that comes around there. He play like loud music and carry a lot of friends around there. I didn't like it because I feel unsafe and uncomfortable. And I like my place private and peaceful.
And there was someone there who got you angry? Do you remember who that was? Do you remember who that was?
Well, no, I wouldn't really want to say his name.
Did that particular person, you don't have to tell us who he is, but did he make you angry that day on August 2nd, that Tuesday?
Yeah, because like every day he keep playing music and inviting his friends, and we just live in a quiet block. And we
Mhm.
don't like all of these type of stuff.
Okay, and about what time was that? What time was that he was playing the music and got you annoyed and got you
Pretty
angry?
much all day.
All right.
Is there anything you want to say to us before we wrap this up?
Like, where do we go from here?
Oh, I don't know. Okay, we'll see.
But you're the attorney, right?
I'm an assistant DA. Yes.
And the attorney is with somewhere else, right?
Yeah. Later on.
Oh.
Okay. All right.
So yeah, what's gonna happen from here?
Well, we'll see. We'll see. Okay.
Like, what's restitution? What program?
Yeah.
Chanel Lewis was a 20-year-old black man living at home with his parents and sisters in Brooklyn at the time. He had been taken into protective custody several times and was described as a loner and mentally unstable. He once told a teacher he wanted to stab all the girls in his school after he got into an argument. It was said to be a completely random attack on Karina, but was not found to be definitive. It is not known if Chanel premeditated the attack. It was found Chanel's dad brought him to the hospital the morning after Karina was murdered. He was treated for scratches all over his face and hands. Chanel told the hospital and his dad that he had got mugged the night previous, and that's where he got the scratches from. But there was no evidence for that, and there was no police report filed either. So on November the 5th, 2018, Chanel's trial began, and he pled not guilty. But there was a mistrial. So the jury came back after a mistrial in April 2019 and found the defendant, Chanel Lewis, guilty on all counts.
We, the jury, find the defendant guilty.
The thunderous reaction from the Vetrano side of the courtroom was unmistakable when the jurors delivered a guilty verdict on each of the 4 counts against Chanel.
He was sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole. Phil and Kathy continued to mourn their beloved daughter. Phil created a shrine dedicated to Karina. They will never forget Karina and how she touched their lives and the lives of others around them.
Today is a day where grieving. I thank the jurors from the bottom of our souls and hearts. I thank them.
It was just total jubilation, and all the anger, all the years of pain, but mostly the anger was lifted.
I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, please drop a like, and if you haven't already, please subscribe. I'll see you in the next one.